In step 3, we're going to determine what type of a network we're going to need. And when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about, are we going to be okay with a peer-to-peer network design, or do we need a centralized client-server architecture in place? And a lot of this is going to come down to the size of the network, your resource constraints, and also your security concerns. So a lot of this comes from your initial planning processes and understanding the overall needs of the organization and the size. Now, for a lot of smaller businesses, you can get away with a peer-to-peer design. But for a larger organization, you're going to want to go with a client-server architecture. Now, regardless if you're going to do a peer-to-peer or client-server, there's going to be different services that may have to be designed to be on some sort of a server for you to provide your users. And so you also need to think about what type of server services do you need to provide the network. And I listed a whole bunch of the common ones here. So for example, are you going to need a file server? Well, if you have a client-server design, you most definitely are going to need to. Are you going to need a print server, or are you just going to have network printers out there or local printers at each cubicle or each office? Are you going to need an email server, or are you going to use something like Gmail or Yahoo Mail or a web-based mail that's managed by your web host provider? Are you going to need specialized application servers? For example, maybe you're a dental office and you have specialized software to run your office and to manage all your patient records. Or can it be cloud-based and stored in the cloud and be web-based? Are you going to need a localized web server, or are you going to use a web hosting company that's going to manage everything for you? Are you going to need an authentication server where everybody has to authenticate to that to log into the network? Or everybody's just going to be on a peer-to-peer where they just do the local login? And what about data backups? Are you going to be doing data backups into the cloud out on the internet via some sort of online service? Or are you going to have a localized backup server on your network and maybe even a local server itself that's going to be replicating all your data, so in case your primary server goes down, you have a secondary server in place? So these are all examples of different types of servers and services you need to think of. And if you're thinking about a physical server, the question is, well, if we need one physical server for one of these, well, the question is how, meaning how powerful does it need to be? Can we do virtualized? And I know I didn't talk about virtualization in this course, but virtualization is where you can have one physical computer and you can virtualize multiple different virtual machines on it to emulate multiple different servers on one physical server. So the question is, well, can we do virtualization? And then for the server itself, well, are we going to do a Windows server, or are we going to do a Mac server? And if we're going to do a Windows server, what can we add on to one physical server? Because if you have a powerful server for a Windows machine, if you're running the Windows Server platform, you can actually have one physical server have the role of multiple different services. So for example, you can have one physical server be your authentication server, your file server, your backup server, and your email server. Now, I wouldn't recommend that, but it is plausible and it is possible. So these are just some of the things to think about. Number 3, is it centralized or not? And if it is centralized or not, what type of server services and physical servers and applications do we need to support? So in the next video, we're going to take a look at step 4.